So what is a formal business plan and when do you actually need one? Formal business plans are actually something that I will write in my business for my clients or help them write. And it's basically a formal document that contains all the important information about a business, including the financial statements. And so for a startup, these financial statements are mostly going to be projections, whereas for a business that's already operating and that's expanding, that's more of recorded actual financials from operations. And now, when would you actually need a formal business plan? Well, I tell all my clients when discussing formal business plans that every single business should have business strategy, business planning, and it should be documented. They should have kind of a living document where they're making points and sharing information about their goals, their target market, their launch date, their legal structure, who's involved, things like that. Just really documenting all the information and planning that goes into the business. However, not every business needs a super formal business plan. And when I say super formal business plan, some of the ones I've written are 40 pages long that contain maybe like 10 pages of financial statements. They're very comprehensive. They take a lot of time, a lot of effort, even for someone who's, used to writing those professionally. So for someone that's new to that, it's going to be tens of hours, maybe over 100 hours to do all the thinking, all the research, all the writing, all the financials. It's a very big undertaking to write like a full comprehensive business plan. So generally, I recommend not writing one that detailed if you don't have to, but I always recommend, as I said, writing down those ideas, having your planning documented in a less formal way at least. But so the main reason you would actually need one of those like long formal business plans that are 25 to 45 pages long would be in the case that you're applying for a business loan. And it's more particularly needed for startups, just because it's higher risk for lenders. They want to know more about the owners of the business, the goals of the business, the nature of the business, the financial projections and expectations and things like that. But that would be the main reason that you would need a formal business plan, would be to obtain a business loan. And also, when applying for business loans, those would generally be the most comprehensive business plans. Now, there are other formal business plans that are less comprehensive that may be needed as well. So as a business owner, you might also need a formal business plan that's less comprehensive for things like applying to lease out a commercial facility for your business, maybe applying for some type of permit license, maybe a grant, things like that would be other cases in which you would need a formal business plan. But typically these ones are a lot shorter and less comprehensive. So I would say before you start writing a formal business plan, again, you should always be writing an informal one, but before you actually write a formal one, I would speak to the person who's going to be reading it or the organization. Is that a conventional lender? Is that a landlord who's renting you out a small office space? Because who's looking at it, who's reading it, is going to determine how comprehensive it needs to be and what needs to be included. Because for a landlord, they don't need to see as much information as a lender. A landlord just wants to know a little bit about your business, make sure it's not competing with maybe other tenants in the building, make sure you're going to be able to pay rent and just kind of find out some basics about the business like that. They're not lending you money. Whereas with a conventional lender, especially if they're giving you a big loan and you're a startup, they want to know a lot more because they want their money back. They want to make sure that this business is feasible long-term, that you've done all the calculations, you've done all the planning, and that it stands a really good chance at succeeding long-term so that they'll get their money back. So as I said, typically lenders require the most comprehensive business plans. So once you've figured out who's reading it and what their requirements are, then you can determine, how much detail, how much information you need to include in the business plan. Because if you are applying for a business loan and they're going to require like a 25-pager, don't submit a 3-page business plan. It's not going to be adequate for what they're looking for. Whereas on the other hand, if you're just trying to lease out a small office space and they want a simple business plan, and that might be 3 pages or 5 pages, I probably wouldn't bother writing that 40-page business plan, even though it's really good practice. It's a whole lot of work and energy that might not be necessary. So hopefully that was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. If you want to check out my other videos here on YouTube, I have well over 150 of them that talk about business startup and business management topics. So feel free to check those out. And if you need some help from a business consultant to write a business plan, to review your business plan, or to get connected with lenders or whatever, feel free to reach out and you can book a free 1-hour consultation for an initial consultation with myself, and I will leave a link to that in the video description below.